Those people over there, they seem to, have their panties in a bunch. What are they hooting and hollering about? You know what? If we basically tell these folks that we're also angry for them and for the same reasons, maybe we can actually get their vote. And that's what they did. Okay, so I hope you can watch this entire video. I won't make it too long. For a while, I've been wanting to do a new playlist, and I promise you it will never be partisan politics. But there are a lot of things that I want to actually share with you that are really important, and you'll be better off for it, and that I can promise you. One of the reasons, and it's not a small one, that racism will never end in the US. Politicians on both sides of the aisle don't want racism to end. They really don't. And again, I've been on both sides of the political spectrum, so this is not partisan politics. They really don't. So think about it for a minute. If racism didn't exist or no longer existed, the Democrats would literally right out of the gate have like two legs knocked out from underneath them. They really would. And the Republicans would basically also have at least one leg knocked out from them. The Democrats would no longer be able to use as a platform and rhetoric, and it's part of every campaign and every strategy on any level, things such as injustice, racial inequality. And if you are a Republican, you don't want racism to end. And you know what? I hate to say this, so I'll just say this as gently as I can. Not all, of course, but the Republicans may lose some of the vote, okay? I mean, it's just the truth. Some, a little bit, some, but they would lose some of that gusto, and some of that wind would really be knocked out of their sail. All of the injustices that the Democrats talk about, all the injustices to blacks and Hispanics, if there was no racism, that would all go away. All of that rhetoric would go away, and they would have to find something else to replace it. That would be a huge hole, by the way, a huge hole for the Democrats to replace. For the Republicans, it would also be a huge hole, because then, they'd also sort of their, take on illegal immigration would really, which is, tied to racism, would really also take a hit. Both sides do not want this. Remember, this is gold to them. For a long time, and maybe you've heard this, people say politics is the art of compromise. No, it isn't. Politics is the art of understanding, identifying people's emotional state and exploiting that for all it's worth. And if politicians on both sides of the aisle couldn't talk about racism and the great injustices that it's about, and the Republicans would no longer be able to sort of tout one of their wonderful mottos, we are the party of Lincoln, then what would they have to do? They would actually have to work. They would have to think of something to really get to your emotional state. And they already have racism, so that's gold. You want them to really do actual work and have to think about a brand new thing? No way. There's just no possible way they're interested in doing that. Why would they? Why should they? So let me give you one example, and I will make this about the Republican Party. So as everyone knows, the Republican Party and the religious right are associated with one another. But did you know that there is no inherent connection, no inherent religious aspect of the Republican Party at all? There isn't, nothing. Here's what basically happened. So in, I think it was 1973, either 72 or 73, the Supreme Court had a really big landmark case, right? As you know, Roe v. Wade, which, at least of course with some stipulations, at the federal level, made abortion legal. And the Christian conservatives, the religious right, were very pissed off about that, right? As you can expect. So this is what happened. The Republicans said, wait a minute, hey, who are those people over there? They seem to, have their panties in a bunch. What are they hooting and hollering about? You know what? If we basically tell these folks that we're also angry for them and for the same reasons, maybe we can actually get their vote. And that's what they did. That's what they did. Maybe in another video, I'll tell you how Democrats sort of shifted their strategy too. But that's why the religious right and the Republicans are associated with one another. All it is, folks, is a voting block. That's all it is. It's just a voting block. Talk about things that piss off people, and you can hopefully get them as your constituency. You can add them to the roster as your voting block, as one of your voting blocks. And that's really all it is. So racism, for several reasons, but this being one of them, will never end. Politicians are never going to give up what they consider gold. And it's sad, but you know what? It's also the truth. So send me your comments and questions, and each week you'll get a chance to win a copy of one of my books. Your choice, either my book on presentation skills or business writing skills.